Hello and good day. Welcome to our video channel, God's Promises. And today's video will be Genesis 38. Let's get started now. Genesis 38 is a chapter in the book of Genesis, which is the first book of the Bible. This chapter tells the story of Judah, one of the sons of Jacob, and his relationship with his daughter-in-law Tamar. Here is a verse-by-verse analysis of the chapter, including its meaning and symbolism. Verse 1. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren, and turned into a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hirah. This verse sets the scene for the chapter by introducing Judah and his journey away from his family. Verse 2. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua, and he took her, and went in unto her. Judah marries a Canaanite woman named Shua, which is significant because the Canaanites were often seen as enemies of the Israelites. This marriage is a departure from the expected cultural and religious practices of the Israelites. Verse 3. And she conceived, and bare a son, and he called his name Er. Judah and Shua have a son named Er. Verse 4. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. Shua has a second son named Onan. Verse 5. And she yet again conceived, and bare a son, and called his name Shelah, and he was at Chezib when she bare him. Shua has a third son named Shelah. Verse 6. And Judah took a wife for Er his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. Judah arranges a marriage between his first son, Er, and a woman named Tamar. Verse 7. And Er, Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. Er is described as wicked, and he dies. Verse 8. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. Under the custom of Levite marriage, it was the duty of the brother of a deceased man to marry his widow in order to continue his line. Judah tells his second son, Onan, to fulfill this duty. Verse 9. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. Onan, however, refuses to fulfill this duty, and he engages in a form of contraception known as coitus interruptus, which prevents Tamar from becoming pregnant. Verse 10. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Onan's refusal to fulfill his duty is seen as disobedience to God, and he dies. Verse 11. Then said Judah to Tamar his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at thy father's house, till Shelah my son be grown, for he said, Lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. Judah is afraid that his third son, Shelah, will also die if he marries Tamar. He tells her to wait until Shelah is grown before marrying him. Verse 12. And in process of time the daughter of Shua Judah's wife died, and Judah was comforted, and went up unto his sheepshearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hirah the Adullamite to Timnath. Judah's wife Shua dies, and he goes to Timnath with his friend Hirah. Verse 13. And it was told Tamar, saying, Behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. Tamar learns that Judah is in Timnath. Verse 14. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath, for she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. Tamar disguises herself as a prostitute, and waits for Judah to pass by on his journey. Verse 15. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she had covered her face. Judah mistakes Tamar for a prostitute because of her disguise. Verse 16. And he turned unto her by the way, and said, Go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee, for he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, What wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me? Judah propositions Tamar, not realizing that she is his daughter-in-law. Tamar asks for payment in exchange for sexual favors. Verse 17. And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, Wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? Judah agrees to pay Tamar with a goat, and she asks for a pledge to ensure that he will keep his promise. Verse 18. And he said, What pledge shall I give thee? And she said, Thy signet, and thy bracelets, and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. Tamar takes Judah's signet, bracelets, and staff as a pledge, and they have sexual relations. Tamar becomes pregnant by Judah. Verse 19. And she arose, and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood. Tamar leaves and resumes her widow's clothing. Verse 20. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend the Adullamite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not. Judah sends a goat to pay Tamar, but she is nowhere to be found. Verse 26. And Judah acknowledged them, and said, She hath been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah my son. And he knew her again no more. Judah recognizes the items as his own and admits that Tamar was in the right for seeking to bear children for the family line. He also refrains from further relations with her. Verse 27. And it came to pass in the time of her travail, that, behold, twins were in her womb. Tamar gives birth to twin boys. Verse 28. And it came to pass, when she travailed, that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, This came out first. One of the twins extends a hand during childbirth, and the midwife marks him as the firstborn with a scarlet thread. Verse 29. And it came to pass, as he drew back his hand, that, behold, his brother came out, and she said, How hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Pharez. The other twin is born shortly after, breaking through his brother's hand, and he is named Pharez. Verse 30. And afterward came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zara. The twin marked with the scarlet thread is named Zara. The story of Judah and Tamar in Genesis 38 is a complex and often controversial one. Some have interpreted it as a warning against sexual immorality and deception, while others have seen it as an example of a woman taking charge of her own reproductive rights. Regardless of the interpretation, the story demonstrates the importance of family lineage and the lengths to which people will go to preserve it. Thank you for watching. Please share with us your favorite Bible verse below in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it really does help our channel grow. Looking forward to see you back here for our next video. Always take good care.